What if I told you that one of the most iconic jewels of a modern European monarchy, a tiara of the Queen of Spain, bears the nickname the Russian? This is not merely a beautiful name, but a key to a mystery that binds Madrid, Vienna, and St. Petersburg in a tight knot of diamonds, pearls, and palace intrigue. Today, we embark on a journey through time to uncover all the secrets of this magnificent treasure. Before us lies the story not just of a piece of jewelry, but of a silent witness to the changing of eras, family dramas, and great triumphs. This is the history of the tiara known as La Rusa. Her Majesty Queen Letizia of Spain, wife of King Felipe VI, is rightfully considered one of the most elegant and stylish women on the world stage. Her ensembles are meticulously analyzed, her choices are emulated, and her ability to blend contemporary trends with centuries-old royal tradition inspires unwavering admiration. And when it comes to the most solemn occasions, those demanding grandeur and splendor, the historic jewels of the Spanish crown take center stage. Among them is one that Queen Letizia chooses with particular frequency for the most important state visits and receptions. It is a tiara whose fluid curves and dazzling radiance are impossible to mistake for any other. Officially, it is known as the Loops tiara or the Scrolls tiara, but in the heart of Spain and among connoisseurs of jewelry, it is called La Rusa. This piece is a perfect example of late 19th century jewelry artistry. Its foundation is light and durable platinum, an innovation for its time that allowed for the creation of large yet delicate structures. The tiara's design is built upon a series of intertwined loops or scrolls, completely encrusted with diamonds. These scrolls, as if frozen in a graceful dance, create a dynamic yet harmonious silhouette. Crowning each curve is a large, perfectly round pearl, suspended in such a way that it sways gently with movement, catching and reflecting the light. The diamonds used in the tiara are of an old European cut, possessing a unique, soft and deep brilliance distinct from modern diamond sparkle. Combined with the warm, lustrous glow of natural sea pearls, they create an effect of incredible luxury and nobility. The shape of the tiara, tall and framing the face, unmistakably references the traditional Russian headdress, the kokoshnik. But who was the creator of this splendor? If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. There are many more fascinating videos to come. For now, let us continue. For many years, the creation of this masterpiece was attributed to the legendary Parisian house of Cartier. This theory seemed logical, as Cartier was a premier supplier to European courts, and the tiara's style was consistent with their work. However, a few years ago, the jewelry house itself, while conducting a review of its archives, published a list of the most significant tiaras created in its workshops. To everyone's surprise, the Spanish-Russian tiara was not on the list. This news compelled historians and experts to explore other avenues. Today, two main hypotheses exist. The first suggests that the commission was executed by another renowned Parisian house, Chaumet, known for its work for the aristocracy. The second, more patriotic version, posits that the tiara could have been crafted by Spanish court jewelers, such as the firm Ansorena, which had served the Spanish monarchy for centuries. The mystery of its creator remains unsolved, adding yet another layer of mystique to the jewel. But while we may not know the name of the master craftsman, the name of its first owner is known with absolute certainty. To understand why this tiara looks the way it does, we must travel back to late 19th century Spain and meet a woman of remarkable destiny, Queen Regent Maria Cristina of Austria. Maria Cristina, an Archduchess of Austria from the House of Habsburg-Lorraine, became the second wife of the Spanish King Alfonso XII in 1879. Theirs was more of a dynastic union than a passionate romance, but over time, a warm and respectful relationship developed between the couple. Their happiness, however, was short-lived. Just 6 years after their wedding, in 1885, King Alfonso XII died of tuberculosis. At the time of his death, The royal couple had 2 daughters, and Maria Cristina herself was 6 months pregnant. Spain held its breath. By law, if a boy was born, he would immediately become king. If a girl was born, the throne would pass to the eldest daughter, Infanta Maria de las Mercedes. To avoid a succession crisis, Maria Cristina was proclaimed Queen Regent until the child's birth. A few months later, a boy was born and named Alfonso after his father. From the moment of his birth, he became King Alfonso XIII, and his mother, the 27-year-old widow, assumed governance of the country for 16 long years until he came of age. It was during this period, no longer merely a queen consort, but a sovereign ruler, that Maria Cristina commissioned the tiara that today bears the name the Russian. For a long time it was believed to be a wedding gift from her husband, but later research confirmed that the jewel was commissioned by the Queen Regent herself after the death of Alfonso XII. She personally selected a design that reflected not only her high status, but also the most current fashion trends of the era. But why would an Austrian archduchess, ruling Spain, commission a tiara in an unmistakably Russian style? The answer lies not in politics, but in fashion, and it leads us to the glittering ballrooms of St. Petersburg and London, to a story of rivalry and admiration between 2 sisters destined to become style icons of their age. The fashion for the Russian style in Europe was set by the Russian Empress Maria Feodorovna, born Princess Dagmar of Denmark. The wife of Alexander III and mother of the last Russian Tsar, Nicholas II, she possessed impeccable taste and a passion for jewels. Her casket was filled with masterpieces from the finest jewelers, and she knew how to wear them with truly imperial grandeur. One of her favorite silhouettes was the kokoshnik, and many of her tiaras were made in this very form, creating a majestic halo around her face. Maria Feodorovna's elder sister, Alexandra, was married to the British heir to the throne, the future King Edward VII. The sisters were very close their entire lives, but Dagmar became empress of a great and powerful empire long before Alexandra became queen. The Princess of Wales watched with admiration the splendor of the Russian court and the magnificence of her younger sister. When Alexandra finally ascended the British throne in 1901, gaining access to the treasury, she hastened to commission a tiara that echoed the style of Maria Feodorovna's favorite jewel. Thus was born the famous Russian kokoshnik tiara of the British monarchs, so beloved by the late Queen Elizabeth II. This gesture by 2 of Europe's most influential female monarchs had the effect of a bombshell in the world of high fashion. Tiaras in the à la Russe style instantly became an absolute must-have for any queen, princess, or aristocrat. It was a symbol of belonging to the highest echelons of society, a sign that one was at the cutting edge of a trend set by the world's most powerful courts, the Russian and the British. By the beginning of the 20th century, nearly every ruling dynasty in Europe had its own version of the kokoshnik. It was in this atmosphere of a universal Russian craze that Queen Regent Maria Cristina's commission was placed. But her tiara was different from many others. While the British kokoshnik is a rigid wall of diamond rays, the Spanish La Rusa is a more fluid, baroque, and opulent interpretation. Its design, with ornate scrolls and pearls, seemed imbued with a southern Spanish temperament. It was even more similar to historic Russian kokoshniks than many other European counterparts, which speaks to the Queen's meticulous attention to detail and her desire to create something truly outstanding. And so, thanks to global fashion and the personal taste of a ruler, a masterpiece with the soul of the Russian aristocracy found its home in the Spanish treasury. It would seem that such a magnificent jewel, created for a powerful ruler, was destined to become the chief treasure of the next generation. However, fate decreed otherwise. After Maria Cristina's death in 1929, the tiara vanished from public view for decades, locked away in a vault by the will of a king who forbade his own wife from even touching it. Following the death of the Queen Regent, the tiara, along with her other personal jewels, was inherited by her son, King Alfonso XIII. It would have been logical to assume that it would now be worn by his wife, Queen Victoria Eugenie of Battenberg, a granddaughter of Britain's Queen Victoria. However, the marriage of Alfonso and Victoria Eugenie, known as Ina, was tragically unhappy. It began with a bomb blast on their wedding day and continued through a series of disappointments and infidelities. The king blamed his wife for passing the gene for haemophilia, the disease of the British crown, to their sons. The relationship between them was so cold and strained that Alfonso XIII, according to contemporary accounts, never allowed his wife to wear his mother's beloved tiara. For him, La Rusa was not just a piece of jewelry, but a relic, a symbol of his memory of Maria Cristina, whom he deeply revered. He did not want to see this symbol on the woman who had disappointed him. Thus, the tiara lay in oblivion throughout the reign of Alfonso XIII, surviving the fall of the monarchy in 1931 and the royal family's exile. Only many years later, already in exile, did the king decide its fate. He passed the tiara not to his eldest son, but to his third, Infante Juan, Count of Barcelona, who, after the renunciations of his older brothers, became the head of the Spanish royal house in exile. The tiara became a wedding gift for his fiancée, Maria de las Mercedes of Bourbon Two Sicilies. It was the Countess of Barcelona who brought the Russian tiara back to life. She often wore it to the balls and receptions of European aristocracy, and it was in photographs of her that the world once again saw this forgotten treasure. Maria de las Mercedes, a woman of strong character and a deep sense of duty, saw the tiara not just as a jewel, but as a symbol of continuity and hope for the restoration of the monarchy. She gladly lent the piece to her daughters. Infanta Pilar, her eldest daughter, wore the tiara on several formal occasions, and her youngest, Infanta Margarita, chose the Russian tiara as her wedding tiara in 1972. It seemed the jewel had become firmly established in this branch of the family, a cherished heirloom passed from mother to daughters. But the tiara had a different, higher destiny. The son of the Count and Countess of Barcelona, Juan Carlos, who was raised in Spain by the dictator Franco as his successor, shared his grandfather's reverence for his great-grandmother, Maria Cristina. He understood the historical significance of this jewel. Upon becoming King of Spain in 1975, Juan Carlos decided that a tiara of such caliber should belong not to an individual family member, but to the crown. He convinced his sisters, Pilar and Margarita, to sell him the tiara so that it could become part of the so-called joyas de pasar, the passing jewels. This is a special collection of jewels that are not the personal property of the monarch, but are passed from one queen to the next as a symbol of the Spanish monarchy. Thus, after nearly half a century of wandering, the Russian tiara returned to the main fund of royal treasures. Its principal wearer for the next 40 years was the wife of Juan Carlos, Queen Sofia. A Greek princess by birth, Sofia wore this historic ornament with immense dignity at the most important state events, forever cementing its status as one of the principal tiaras of the Spanish crown. It was on Queen Sofia that La Rusa appeared in all its splendor in dozens of official portraits, banquets, and state visits, becoming an inseparable part of the image of the Spanish monarchy in the latter half of the 20th century. When King Juan Carlos I abdicated in favor of his son Felipe in 2014, the tiara, according to the status of the joyas de pasar, was transferred to the new queen, Letizia. So concluded the long and winding journey of this jewel. From a personal commission by a queen regent, through decades of oblivion in a royal vault, through its status as a family heirloom in exile, and finally, to its return to the very heart of the Spanish monarchy. Today, when Queen Letizia appears in the La Rusa tiara, she is not merely wearing a beautiful ornament. She carries the weight of a century of history, the memory of the wise ruler Maria Cristina, the echoes of the family drama of Alfonso XIII, the resilience of a family in exile, and the triumph of a restored monarchy. Every diamond in this tiara could tell its own story. Every curve of platinum holds the touch of royal hands. La Rusa is more than just a piece of jewelry. It is a tangible fragment of history, a chronicle written in precious stones. It symbolizes the unbreakable bond between eras and generations, proving that the true value of great jewels is measured not only in carats, but in the legends they keep. So, what is it that makes a piece of jewelry truly immortal? The flawless purity of its diamonds, or the flawless narrative of its history? It seems, in the case of the Russian tiara of Spain, the answer is clear. What other jewels with amazing destinies do you know of? Share your stories in the comments below. We would be very interested to read them. If you enjoyed this journey into the world of royal treasures, don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next captivating story. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.